Aloha, my name is Kanani Kea, and I'm the moderator for this session titled Implementation of DOTA's New Asset Management System, VEOCI, for Construction BMP Inspections. Please use the Q&A tool during the session to ask any questions you may have. At the end of the presentation, we will have a few minutes for the speakers to answer your questions. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our two speakers for this session. Brian Lum is a senior project engineer at Enviro Services and Training Center with over 37 years of construction management experience. He reviews and updates the Department of Transportation's Airports Division's environmental program for compliance with DOH and EPA regulations. Brian also reviews the design of construction projects for environmental elements and construction BMP inspections at active projects. Our second speaker, Jenna Stone, is an environmental engineer also at Enviro Services and Training Center. She ensures compliance with the DOTA's environmental program for construction projects at Daniel K. Inouye International Airport and Kahului Airport. She conducts monthly BMP inspections on various construction projects to ensure compliance with their stormwater management program plan and their MS4 permit. With that, please help me in welcoming Brian Lum and Jenna Stone. Good morning, Brian and Jenna.
Morning.
Morning. Thank you, Kanani, for introduction. And I'd like to welcome and thank everybody else for joining us at this presentation. Some of you might already be familiar with Jenna and I. We conduct the BMP inspections for the DOTA, or the Airports Division, at the Daniel K. Inouye International Airport, also known as Honolulu Airport, and the Kahului Airport on Maui, also known as OGG. Some of you might also recognize Kanani, who opened up this presentation. She used to join us on the inspections a few years ago. Also, if you worked on either on other projects or at other airports statewide, such as Kona and Hilo and Lehui airports, you might be more familiar with Art Krauser and their staff, Britt, Mickey, and Anthony, who conducts the BMP inspections for DOTA on those other airports. The purpose of this presentation is to introduce you to the new DOTA asset management system. It's also known as VEOCI. And when this is implemented within a few months, it's going to change some of the construction BMP inspection procedures, mostly for how do you submit the reports or how you receive the reports and how you submit your documents and corrective action photos. The thing that is not changed is how we conduct our inspections. We will still be scheduling inspections, walking the sites with the CM and with the contractor's rep, and pointing out deficiencies, taking photos and everything else. It's what happens after that that this new asset management system will be changing. Some of the changes that will be coming up is how do you submit your documents, say like your BMP plan or your BMP map. Also, when you receive the inspection report is going to have a different appearance. The information will be basically the same, but it'll look a little different. And then finally, the main change or major change is how do you submit your corrective action photos. That process is being changed. Currently, you guys email us your corrective action photos directly. With this new system, you'll be given access to this VEOCI, and you upload your corrective action photos onto VEOCI. And we'll be notified that you have done so, and we'll review it from there. So for now, that's all I got to say. I'm going to pass it on to Jenna. She's going to introduce you to some of the more detailed information as far as VEOCI. Okay, Jenna.
Thank you, Brian. All right, so like Brian mentioned, we're basically going to go over three of the main components that are going to be the changes for DOTA's data management system. So first up, we're going to have new forms and reports that the contractor or authorized person would be responsible for submitting through this new platform, as well as number two, inspection types and schedules. So we do have a slight change of the naming of the inspection. So what most of you might be familiar as the initial inspection, we're now calling pre-construction inspection. Then the routine inspection, some of you might be familiar with it being called the monthly inspection, and then the final inspection as well. And then third, we're going to talk about the submittal procedures for the corrective action photos. So I'll go into it. So first off, contractor document submittal. So this is going to be all the permits and forms that the contractor or authorized person is going to be submitting during the pre-construction process. So we're going to start off with the email prompt that you're going to get, and it's going to be an email from DOTA. It's basically going to give you a link to go into the platform to submit all of your forms and documents. It's also going to have a few more things, necessary information for you. For example, you'll see in here, it has that you must schedule a pre-construction BMP inspection with AirEE prior to the start of construction. And then also we are still kind of setting up those final changes for the platform. So what you will see might look a little bit different, but the main information will stay the same. So you're going to go ahead and click the link to submit your documents. So this is kind of what the platform is going to look like. You're going to start off, once you click that link, this is going to be the contractor document submittal process. And it's going to start off with project information. So you're going to select your project. And at this point, your project will be in the database for DOTA already. So you'll go ahead and use the drop-down menu to select your project. We also have it sorted by airport code, if that's relevant, in order to kind of further categorize your project, make it easier to find. And then we're going to go ahead and scroll down. You're going to kind of put in all that necessary point of contact information, that sort of stuff. Then we're going to stop here. So this question is, have all contractors and subcontractors completed DOTA's construction BMP training? Most of you are probably familiar with that, and the link can be found here. It can also be found on the public DOTA website as well. And this one is actually live. So we'll go ahead and take you over and just so you could see what that looks like. So this is the construction BMP training, and it is live now. So you're going to go ahead, put all of your information, name, email, project role, date, and as well as the airport or airports, depending on your project. And each person who is responsible or is a part of the environmental compliance for your project is going to individually take it. So they're going to put in their name specifically, and then each of you are going to take the BMP training. So we'll scroll down. So right here is the training video. You can also get the video on the website separately as well. You're going to go ahead and watch the video. It's about 45 minutes long. We also are in the process of updating it, so you may see it change from what it is currently right now. So after the video, below, there's going to be a 10-question quiz, and you're going to go ahead and answer those and press submit. And for the quiz, you just need to have at least a 7 out of 10 score in order to pass. You'll be notified if you don't get 7 out of 10. And in that case, you'll have the opportunity to try again until you hit that 7 out of 10 score. So we'll go ahead, go back to the construction document submittal process. So after the BMP training section, it's going to go into the document submittal section. And it's going to give you the opportunity to upload documents that are pertaining to your project. So for example, you see right here, it's going to give you a question of whether or not it's pertaining. And then it's also going to give you an area that you can upload any files that you want to. So we'll go into what's required for your projects. So most of it is the same. There are some slight updates. So for this slide, it's basically talking about projects that are 1 acre or more. So the 4 requirements for 1 acre or more projects are going to be number 1, contractor's BMP plan with BMP map and contractor contact information. Number 2, sign and submit DOTA's construction connection, discharge, and surface runoff permit. Number 3, update the MPDS as the duly authorized rep And number 4, notify the Department of Health of the start of construction. And then on the bottom, we also have applicable forms and permits that may pertain to your project, just depending on the scope of work and whatnot. So those are also in the VEOCI system process as well. And it allows you to update those forms or permits and upload them into the system if that is pertaining to you. All right, next we have projects that are less than 1 acre. So for the main 2 requirements, it's going to be, again, contractor's BMP plan with BMP map and contractor contact information. And then sign and submit DOTA's construction connection, discharge, and service runoff permit. And as well, we have those applicable documents depending on the scope of work. All right, so moving on to the inspection reports. So for our inspections, it will largely stay the same, and nothing will kind of change in terms of how we're conducting our inspections. Neither the requirements will stay the same. So we'll still look for the same things, such as for drain inlets, are all drain inlets within your project, as well as downslope, are they protected? Are they maintained properly? That sort of thing. So everything will stay the same. So for this one, this is the pre-construction inspection report. And again, it might look a little different, just the small details. As you can see, the title is actually still called initial in the screenshot, but we will be calling it the pre-construction inspection report. And it will stay the same in terms of like the information that's given. So we have project name, project number, point of contact, and then also permits that are pertaining to your project. And then we'll go ahead. So the next section is going to be inspection items. This is very similar to what's already used now. So this should be pretty familiar to you in terms of the setup. Most of the questions are still the same as well. We have done some slight updates to certain questions, but for the majority of them, they'll stay the same. So for example, number 6, are the construction entrance exits located at designated areas, properly constructed and stabilized? The next section below that is going to be a description of potential non-compliance issues. So you're going to have your list of deficiencies, which is similar to what we have now. So you're going to have the list of all the deficiencies as well as the description. So it'll say either where it's located or what is the non-compliance issue, and then as well as photos that are associated, or photo numbers, not the actual photos. And then it's also going to say the deficiency type, so critical, major, or minor, and then the follow-up date, which is associated, whether it's critical, major, or minor. And then below that is going to be the photos area. So that's going to correspond with the previous deficiency list. But this is where you're going to find all the photos from the inspection. So on the left-hand side, we have all of the inspection photographs, the ones that we took during the inspection. And it's going to be things like the deficiencies that we observe. For example, like a rusty, let's say, rebar. So we're going to have a picture of that. We might have multiple photos, as you can see in the bottom area. So for example, if we wanted to show kind of a location of where the rebar is at, we might have a location photo and then the rebar. Or for example, let's say we wanted to show something was broken, like cracked, we might show the item and then we might have a close-up photo of the crack itself. And then on the right-hand side is going to be the space where the contractor authorized person has the opportunity to upload those photos. So they're going to be side by side, similar to how they are now. All right, so for routine inspections, it's going to be set up the same way as pre-construction. It's just that the inspection items and whatnot might be a little different. So for example, some of the items, number 7, are the construction entrances, exits free of sediment being tracked out from the project area? Are they stabilized? Are they properly maintained? And then another example, number 26, are discharge points and receiving waters free of sediment deposits from the projects or other signs of illicit discharge. And then for the final inspection, same thing as the pre-construction for the layout as well. And then again, the only things that are going to be different are just going to be those inspection items. So for example, number 8, have all temporary storage and staging areas, including areas beyond the project limits, been properly restored and permanently stabilized. And number 15, have all exposed and or previously disturbed areas been permanently stabilized. So the main thing that's going to be different is just the inspection items and what we're looking for, depending on the type of inspection that it is. So finally, we'll move on to the corrective action photo submittal. And like Brian mentioned, that's probably going to be the biggest change. And this is the most hands-on process, I guess you could say. So this is what it looks like so far, and we might update it again. It might look slightly different, but initially you're going to start off by selecting your project name from the list. And then after you select your project, you're going to have a list of deficiencies that are going to pop up below it. So as you can see on the bottom screenshot right here, they're going to pop up one deficiency at a time. And you're going to have an area that says photo of deficiency, where you can see if there were a photo of the deficiency from the inspection report, you'll see that right there. And that'll help you kind of put together which photo you're uploading, because you can reference the one that you're responding to. And then I'll give you an example. So we have them also listed where it shows you what type of deficiency, so whether it's minor or major or critical. And it's gonna also show kind of other pertinent information, for example, photo number. A lot of times we may have different photos depending on what the type of deficiency is. So if there's multiple photos, we might have it's responding to this photo number rather than this deficiency. So after that, on the right-hand side, you're gonna have the area where you respond, and that's going to have the corrected photo and corrected description. So the photo area, you can upload your corrective action photo that you took of the site. And as you can see, you can actually do multiple files. So if you wanted to respond where you wanted to maybe do more than one photo, if you think it's helpful, perhaps different views of it, you're more than welcome to upload more than one for that. And then we also have an area for the description on the side. So that's if you wanted to maybe put a description that you feel is necessary for the photo. For example, what people like to do sometimes is if we had, let's say, a deficiency of a truck that's leaking fluid. And then as a corrective measure, the contractor took the truck actually off the work site. So for the description, for the photo, they'd actually show the empty area of where the truck was. And then in the description, they might say, you know, truck was actually moved off site and is no longer used on the project. So that would be an example of why you'd want to put a description. So going back to the inspection report. So on the black photos on the left-hand side, those are our inspection photos. And then on the right-hand side, we have the light blue, and that is the corrective action photos. So you're going to have a side-by-side comparison of the before and after photos of that deficiency, as well as captions and whatnot. So that's basically the gist of everything. We know it's kind of a lot of information to digest. We kind of just wanted to give you a brief introduction into the process and kind of show you us going through it ourselves. And we do envision that there might be a learning curve for contractors and authorized people using this new system. So we feel, both me and Brian, we wanted to let everyone know that if you are stuck uploading something or you're having trouble with a step, we're definitely there for you to reach out to us if you have a question about anything. And as well as Hart Krauser if you're somebody used on the outer islands that maybe you're more familiar with Hart Krauser and its staff. But yeah, it's basically a brief introduction kind of going through each step.
Yeah, let me add a few things. Yeah, on the corrective action photos, I know we always remind the contractors to please take photos of the corrective action from the same perspective and maybe approximately the same distance as the deficiency photo. That would really help the review process. Now, even though you upload your corrective action photo, it does go through a review process before it is accepted. Jenna and I will review the photos, and Hart Krauser's staff will review the corrective action photos for their reports. Each deficiency type has a different deadline. So like critical is that same day, majors is like 5 days, and minors is like 10 days. So before the deadline for each deficiency type, make sure you upload those photos. Don't wait to 10 days to upload your photos for the major deficiencies at the same time you upload the photos for the minor deficiencies. The link to the corrective action photo submittal will always be open. So you can go in there anytime, even early, before the deadline. That looks good. And when you press submit, we'll be notified that you did submit something and there's something in there for us to review. Like Jenna said, this process is brand new. It's brand new to us too. Hart Krauser and Jenna and I, along with Stacy and Amy from AirEE, we've been working on this, developing the system for like probably over a year already. And it's almost there. It's about 95% done. We're just tweaking out the little bugs at the end, and it should be ready for release within the next couple of months. We're saying early 2022, but we'll notify you probably during the inspection whether or not VEOCI is available or whether or not we're still continuing with the old system. But yeah, that's about it. Does anybody have any questions?
Awesome. Thank you, Brian and Jenna, for your presentation. Yeah, we're going to open up the question and answer portion of the session. And we have a question. Is the contractor or CM responsible for uploading corrective action photos and details?
Yes, it's how they decide between themselves. Sometimes the CM would like to see the corrective action photos first so that they can kind of review it. Or sometimes the contractor can upload it directly to VEOCI themselves. It's up to how the CM wants to handle it. And maybe that's some part of the procedure we have to finalize with Stacy and Amy. So we'll probably need their input a little bit more on that particular question.
Sounds good. Someone asked if this is for outstanding inspections.
No, VEOCI is not live just yet. It's still in development, but like I said, still at 95%. So for projects that we already, or for inspections that we just did, and you still have corrective action photos to submit, just submit them the old way, which is by emailing it to either us or to Hart Krauser, depending on which inspection company did it. And we'll notify each contractor as we conduct each inspection in the future, whether or not VEOCI is online.
Sounds good. Are there email notifications from the inspector or contractor to know that the inspection is available online or that corrective actions have been posted?
Yes.
Yes, VEOCI will be sending out email notifications. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jenna.
I was going to say the same thing. VEOCI will be sending out an email notification for you for both of those actions.
Yeah, basically, whenever anybody hits submit on VEOCI, it does generate email notifications to notify the other party on the receiving end that there is something in the VEOCI now for you to review or to look at, like the inspection report. Once we finish the inspection report, when we hit submit, the attendees will get a notification that there is something there for them to look at. And vice versa, when you guys submit your corrective action photos and you hit submit, and again, I gotta emphasize, even though you don't have all your corrective action photos, maybe just for the critical and maybe just for the major, hit submit, because we have to review it and we have to document the time that it's submitted to make sure that it's done within the required time frame.
It's also helpful too, like if they're early and we do have time to review it, we might see something early and then you'd have time to correct it if it was super early rather than on the due date at that point. That makes sense.
Awesome, thank you guys. Another question, is it a similar process when we self-report?
Oh, you mean the contractor's weekly self-inspection? No.
Yeah, I think that's what they're asking.
Yeah, the contractor or CM's weekly self-inspections, we call it, those don't get submitted to VEOCI. Basically, you just follow your same procedures. You conduct your inspection, your self-inspection, you fill out your reports, and you log it or file it at your job site. And it should be readily available for review by either us or Department of Health or EPA inspectors. That's one of the things EPA and DOH, that's the first thing they ask for when they conduct their inspections, is they're going to ask for all your records. So those inspection reports, just keep it on the site.
Thanks, Brian. Another question, are there plans to expand usage of VEOCI beyond just inspections / reports / response and corrective communications, such as NPDES discharge monitoring reports?
Yeah, like your NOC, your notification of cessation of the NPDES permit. I mean, that's also going to get downloaded, or excuse me, uploaded into VEOCI. The NPDES permits, when it's finalized during the design stages, those will get uploaded into VEOCI. So any kind of environmental documents will get uploaded to VEOCI at some time for record keeping and justification should DOTA get audited by Department of Health or EPA.
I believe the spill reporting is actually live right now on VEOCI.
Yeah, Jen is correct on that. Yeah, if you do have a spill on any projects, I know you're supposed to notify your state project manager and the responsible person or agency at each airport. I know it's a little different for each airport, but also you're supposed to notify Air EE. And one of the requirements is that DOTA has a spill reporting form, and it is found on their website. And the contractor, when they report a spill, must also fill out that spill report. It's done electronically, and that report goes directly into VEOCI too. So like I said, everything environmental somehow gets inputted in VEOCI.
Thank you, guys. Stacy wanted to just make a little comment so that everyone knows that VEOCI is not yet live for construction projects and the current process still exists. They're anticipating providing training documents to assist with this process as well.
Yes, that's correct. We're trying to come up like a written SOP or procedure to assist the contractor or CM and designer. That's in the works. But right now we're still trying to finalize VEOCI. It's 95% done, I would say, right about now. So it should be released for use in a few months. And of course, you know, Jenna and I, Hart Krauser, we know there's going to have a learning curve with everybody using it. We're available to assist and to help and to answer questions.
Sounds good. Does anyone else have any questions? All right, I think that's all the questions in the chat. If anyone else does have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Brian and Jenna, either through their email or phone numbers or even through the conference chat, which will be available till the end of today. But that concludes this session, and we're going to break for lunch, and the next sessions will begin at 1 p.m. Vendors will be around during the break if you would like to chat with them. And if you have experienced any technical difficulties, please visit the info desk to chat with a representative. Thank you everyone for attending. Have a great rest of the day.